Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Brad Lewis with Premier Marketing. Thanks for joining us again today for this series of webinars on Life and Annuity Resource Center. So if you've joined us before, this is actually, I believe it's our fourth webinar that we've done here, or will be our fourth webinar today that we'll be doing, that really walks through the benefits of Life and Annuity Resource Center that we have through our partnership with Brokers International. And it's a great resource for you, for your agents, for recruiting and for training, not only for annuities, but also for life insurance. And that's what we're going to dig in today about, as well as the life insurance portion of it. The first two annuity trainings that we did after Sean Rogerio's opportunity training was based on annuities, and the last two, so this week's and next week's, are going to be based on life insurance. So if you haven't seen the previous webinars, we have them recorded and we can certainly send them out to you. And then we'll be posting all of these on Life and Annuity Resource Center at the conclusion of next week's webinar as well. So, and I want to jump in here. Again, today's webinar is 8 reasons everyone needs whole life insurance. And we have Bobby Neeram on the line with us today. Bobby's joining us, and we want to turn it over to him and let him walk through 8 reasons why everybody needs permanent life insurance. Bobby, I'll let you take it away.
All right, Brad. Thank you very much, and good to talk to you. Good to catch up always. Appreciate the opportunity to get in front of your agents. So really appreciate the partnership with Premier, and kudos to you guys for being able to bring this type of system and resources to your agents. As Brad said, my name is Bobby Neeram. I am the Vice President of Life Sales. What I want to do today is just give you guys a quick reminder or a high-level overview of a few reasons why everyone needs permanent life insurance. So I'm sure everybody has an example of a life insurance policy that they've sold in the past, and maybe each reason is different. Everybody uses life insurance in a different fashion. But what we're going to do here is just look at a few of the reasons that we come across that maybe are a little bit more common. The point of this is in order to kind of just get you thinking in a direction, right? What are some of the reasons why people use life insurance? And if we can get our minds kind of trained and wrapped around that, perhaps we can run into additional opportunities as we go. So real quick, just the compliance note here: Brokers International and Integrity Marketing, Premier and its affiliates, we do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. If you need that, please seek a professional. So with that out of the way, before we jump into the 8 reasons, just want to give everybody a high-level overview on permanent life insurance and talk about some of the features of that real quick. Permanent life insurance, and that can be in the form of whole life, guarantee universal life, index universal life, universal life. All of these are permanent forms of life insurance. They differ in the sense of a term life insurance policy. If you think of a term, you're going to pay a set amount for a set period of time, and at that point, the contract ends. Permanent life insurance is designed to run to the end of the insured's life. So permanent life insurance is a financial asset. It's not an investment. Permanent life insurance can have guarantees. So if you think about the parties to this contract, you have the insured and the insurance company, and you can have in the contract certain guarantees. Some of the guarantees that are available are for the death benefit. You will notice that in what's called a GUL, or a guaranteed universal life policy. That's where the insured pays a set amount of premium, and that death benefit is guaranteed to be there throughout the life of the insured. You can also have guaranteed premiums amounts, where perhaps think of maybe like a no lapse guarantee rider, where you pay a set premium throughout the life of the policy, and that premium is not going to change, it's guaranteed. And then that puts certain requirements on the insurance carrier on their side. You can also have guarantees in cash value. Again, permanent life insurance can give you the guarantees you need for planning down the road. Whereas an investment maybe moves depending on a market or something along those lines. So permanent life insurance is different than investments. We'll talk about that a little bit here in the next slide. Permanent life insurance also passes to your loved ones tax-free and can provide access to cash tax-free. So the IRS looks at life insurance contracts a little bit different and gives it a favored treatment. So permanent life insurance is more of an alternative to conservative financial assets such as CDs, bonds, money markets, stuff of that nature. But one of the huge benefits with life insurance is that structured properly, the death benefit can pass to your loved ones tax-free. So it's a great way to help with passing on assets or passing on a legacy. Also, permanent life insurance can provide benefits that can help offset health care and long-term care costs. So I've heard of an IUL, permanent life insurance policy, being referred to kind of as the Swiss Army knife of financial assets. Permanent life insurance offers what we call living benefits, and we'll talk a little bit about those further on here in the presentation. But living benefits are the ability to tap into the death benefit of the policy prior to death. So it's able to give coverage to the insured and their family in the event of maybe a terminal illness or chronic illness or a critical illness. So living benefits are a great way to diversify the plan to cover or offset healthcare and long-term care costs. Now, life insurance is not long-term care insurance. They are different contracts, but a permanent life insurance policy with a living benefit rider on it is a great way to help diversify the approach to cover long-term care costs. So again, just real quick, kind of a high-level overview on permanent life insurance. It is meant to cover until death. And with a lot of the advancements in these contracts and these policies over the past 15 to 20 years, they are very versatile in what they do. They're able to help support your loved ones at the point of death. They're able to help give you access to tax-free cash, and it's also able to help offset or provide for some long-term care expenses. Now, what we want to talk about here is where in a proper financial portfolio, where does life insurance play? So if we take a look at the pyramid, which all good financial planners or financial agents are familiar with, protection is really that foundation. And when we say protection, we mean something that's going to provide security and longevity for your loved ones or the things that you care about in life. And intertwined with that is savings. So the bottom of the pyramid really stands firm when you have savings in place, and this can be savings to protect maybe a loss of job, right? You hear that a lot of financial professionals will suggest anywhere from 3 to 9 months worth of an emergency fund, and that's to cover your expenses should something happen to your income. The protection section could also be life insurance, right? That's what a lot of people have in order to protect their families, maybe for income replacement. Maybe you're 35, 40 years old with 3 kids, you've been married for 20 years, and you are the sole breadwinner for the family. If you were to pass away, or maybe something were to happen where that income does not continue, then a policy should be put in place to help continue that income. You could also think about, in the event of death, how do you take care of the liabilities? Again, you got 2 kids, married 20 years, and you're the breadwinner. You're going to want to have a plan in place that's going to help take care of maybe the car loan or the mortgage or any other debt that may be putting in place. That's what we mean when we say protection. So above that is going to be your savings. Think more liquid items such as maybe a CD at a bank or a money market, liquid cash that you can get to in the event of emergency. On top of that is growth. Growth nowadays in 2025 for the average employee is more going to be along the lines of a 401k or an IRA or some sort of retirement vehicle that you're saving for. This is the section of your pyramid or your funds, your finances, that the objective is to grow. You think really more long-term than short-term with this. This is where you want to try to make your money work for you and to build money for retirement. Above that is risk. This is more where you're thinking individual stocks, such as stocks in Coca-Cola or Walmart or General Motors. These stocks or investments are inherently more risky because they are affected by the performance or outcome of one entity, right? So if you think about it in that sense, which is more versatile, um, which is more volatile, which can move more, a mutual fund comprised of a lot of different companies or stock in Tesla. So this is the part of your pyramid where you can allocate funds that can participate in those potential upsides. But if they swing down on the low side, it's not going to affect whether or not your family eats the next day. Above that, the top of the pyramid is speculative investing. These are going to be things like penny stocks or IPOs or investing in companies, that type of thing. So that's just a quick overview of a proper financial pyramid. A permanent life insurance policy, or an IUL, is very unique in the sense that it can cover the bottom three sections, right? One, it provides protection in the sense of a death benefit. Two, it provides savings in the sense of cash value that the policy can accumulate over time. And three, it gives you growth in the sense that depending on the performance of the contract, that cash value can actually grow. So just a quick understanding of where does permanent life insurance or IULs play in the financial scheme of the pyramid. All right, so we're going to jump into this here. We're already 15 minutes in, so we'll try to get through this here. The first thing that permanent life insurance is good for is ensuring your human capital. Again, we spoke about earlier the example of who's going to provide for the family, who's going to replace the income if something were to happen to one of the spouses. So life insurance does a great job of ensuring that human capital. There's just some information here on the screen that a survey was done recently that talks through individuals with a high school diploma earn an average of $1.3 million over their lifetime. So if something were to happen to them, how do we replace that income that others were depending upon? That income can be their children, their spouse, their parents, a lot of different parties. And so at a high school diploma level, on average, they're earning $1.3 million during their lifetime. As we move to the bachelor's degree, that almost doubles up to $2.3 million. And the difference grows even more once you get into a professional degree or a doctoral degree. Think attorneys, lawyers, doctors, that type of thing, with a lifetime average expected income of $3.6 million. So what we need to do is we need to be aware that life insurance is a great tool to be able to protect human capital, our ability to earn capital. So replacement income, or even maybe taking care of debts. According to the Life Insurance Marketing and Research Association, LIMRA study that was done in 2024, 42% of American adults are either uninsured, meaning they have no insurance, or they're underinsured, meaning that the insurance that they have is not going to cover the needs upon their death. So first and foremost, one of the top reasons is ensuring human capital, your ability to earn income, your ability to provide for things and people that you care about. So now is a great time for us to be talking about our clients, asking them that golden question, right? Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? having the conversations with clients, and maybe to an extent having the difficult conversations to make sure that the things they care about and the people they love are covered and taken care of. All right, number 2, cover your final expenses. Premier is no stranger to final expenses. A funeral alone, as we know, can cost more than $8,000. I've seen it as high as 15 recently. By the time you get everything in there, it can definitely exceed the $8,000. Social Security is not going to be able to cover that. And if you don't have a policy in place, then that debt or those expenses are going to pass to your loved ones. I think in the industry we call it final expense. Maybe end of life coverage, or maybe a whole life policy, something along those lines is a little bit more of how we would present it or position it with clients as opposed to final expense. But basically, a great need for life insurance is covering those expenses at the time of at the end of life. So right now in our country's history, this shouldn't surprise anybody, but Americans are dying with more debt now than they ever have in their past. I guarantee if we polled the audience right now, probably 90% of you, 95% of you would get this question right. According to debt.org, 73% are dying in debt. I think depending on your age, the degree of that debt varies, but some sort of debt is present at death. It's also occurring a little bit more, one, because we are as a nation in more debt than ever, and two, because people are living longer. So what a final expense policy or what life insurance can do is help take care of that debt at death. One of the front of mind expenses, again, is burial costs or funeral costs. But along with that is paying off any sort of liabilities that are out there, whether it be the mortgage or the car loan, things of that nature. You're going to see that right now more than probably in the past, because a significant amount of the mortgages that are in the country right now are still reeling off of the low rates that were occurring between 2008 and approximately 2020. So it was advantageous for many people to hold that mortgage sitting at 2 or 3% than it was maybe in the past, say the 80s or 90s, when rates were closer to maybe 8 or 9%. So it would make sense to get rid of that mortgage. Well, at a 2% interest rate, it probably makes sense to keep that mortgage. So we can't really assume that just because somebody maybe is 60, 65, 70 years old that they don't have a mortgage or a plan in place to take care of that mortgage. So again, as we all know, life insurance does a great job of helping to take care of those debts. Number 3, we talked a little bit about previously, is long-term care costs. When the time comes, what assets are we going to utilize to pay for end-of-life care? Longtermcare.gov reports 70% of the people that reach age 65 are going to need some sort of long-term care. Now, women live longer, so the number of years that they need care is actually longer than men. But 20% will need it for longer than 5 years. So the question becomes, how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to provide for that long-term care? Well, as we spoke about earlier with living benefits and terminal illness, accelerating the death benefit, permanent life insurance and IUL specifically play a great role in being able to help support people with their long-term care plans, because only 5% of the population has some sort of long-term care coverage as far as insurance goes. So most people are either, one, funding that out of the savings that they have, or two, pushing that care to, or pushing those costs to maybe loved ones or to their children. So life insurance can play a pivotal role in providing for the long-term care costs, because if you don't have an insurance policy in place to help cover that, then you're going to have to fund that on your own in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether it be selling, you know, selling assets that you have, maybe it's a family car or the boat or a second home, but something without a insurance policy in place, something is going to have to either be liquidated or be allocated to pay for those costs. So insurance does a great job because you may have a client that has difficulty parting with maybe a childhood home, or maybe they have difficulty parting with, you know, their father's Mustang from the 50s, or maybe they have problems selling Amazon stock that has an incredibly high basis in it. So there are reasons why people have issues with parting from certain assets, but nobody has a problem parting with the funds that come from life insurance. That's the point of it. So life insurance does a great job of providing that um, providing the finances for long-term care, but also as being a source of those funds. Number 4, to protect your estate and cover your taxes. So life insurance does a great job of estate coverage and to cover the taxes. Now recently we did see with the big beautiful bill passage an extension on the federal estate tax percentages and levels. So that's a good thing relative to um, people paying more in taxes. But life insurance does a great job of protecting your estate and covering those taxes that are needed. So as you see here, over time, the estate tax exemption, which is the amount of money that does not fall subject to the tax rate, has dramatically and significantly increased over the past 25, 30 years. So we're currently at 13.6 million per spouse. Anything above that would be taxed at the 40%. So what life insurance can do is provide the funds at death to cover that tax that the estate will incur. So that's another great reason for that. A lot of good life insurance agents have relationships with estate planning attorneys, and they can work in conjunction to cover the client's needs. This is just a little bit of a visual that can really show the impact that life insurance can have. So if you consider the box on the left with almost a $6 million estate here, you know, the taxes that are going to be paid at the state level, maybe as we saw here, this 6 million would be under the exemption amount, but each state's also going to have their estate taxes. And then you're also going to incur costs to transfer that estate, whether it be real estate or stocks, bonds, taxes on that transfer. So you're going to run into costs as well as transitioning an estate to the descendants. Well, simply positioning $200,000 out of the estate into life insurance, as you see in the box to the right, we essentially took $200,000 from the stocks, positioned that into a life insurance policy, and we were able to create $1 million of tax-free death benefit in order to help cover those costs with the estate. So hopefully this does a decent job of showing the impact and the value that life insurance can have in covering the estate needs. Number 5, leaving a legacy. So you know, what are the things that you care about that are going to be around past your life, whether it be donating to a local nonprofit, putting a park bench with your name on it in the city park, money to your church, whatever it may be. Life insurance does a great job on a few different reasons that we'll discuss here of helping with that legacy. So if you look at the chart on the right here, you're able to see in the blue section the contributions that you've made to the life insurance policy, but overall the death benefit of approximately $65,000 is what you're looking to maybe pass on as far as a legacy goes? Well, if you have a life insurance policy and the funds from that policy are earmarked towards your legacy needs, whether it be, like I said, um, you know, donating the money to the local school, donating it to your alma mater, whatever it may be. The earlier you die, then the more impactful those contributions are going to be. I mean, if you look at age 66 here in this chart, you have contributions of maybe $1,000, but if you were to pass away, you're looking at passing on $65,000. So this is significantly more effective and impactful than maybe say, saving up part of your finances and giving those at the time of death. You can exponentially be more impactful with a life insurance policy, even to the point of, say, age 85 or 90 on this chart. If you look at age 85, you've still contributed $30,000 to the policy, but yet the beneficiary is going to get $65,000. So you still have quite an impact exponentially in using life insurance as a legacy gift. In this example, like it says there, it could take more than 30 years of monthly contributions to equal what a level permanent life insurance policy can pay based out on averages of these hypothetical policies. So life insurance is a great way to be impactful for those funds. Another reason why it makes more sense to put the money into a life insurance policy, not only are you going to be able to give more, but then also it's going to allow you to remain in control of your funds. If you're giving to your local charity, call it, $300 a month, $400 a month, that will help with the operating budget. That'll help with many different things. But it's not necessarily going to help with maybe a capital improvement policy project, right? If you were to give them a $65,000 lump sum fund, that can really move the needle on a lot of major products or projects for a nonprofit. Also, by retaining that policy, you're going to be able to access it should you need that money later on in life. So it's going to you'll be able to protect yourself. And then also it's going to help you remain in control of the funds. If you're working with a nonprofit and maybe the direction or the strategy of the nonprofit shifts over, say, a 10 to 15, 20-year period, and that change in philosophy you may not agree with. Maybe the organization is no longer the organization that you so passionately supported. Well, if you're giving $400 or $500 a month, you're not able to go back and say, "Hey, can I have that money back that I've given you for the past 10 years?" You're not able to do that. Well, if you're putting that money in a life insurance policy, you're now in control of all of that, and you're able to change who that money goes to in order to remain in control over your funds. So, it just allows you to be more impactful with the money that you give, and also helps you remain in control of legacy planning. Number 6, eliminate the sequence of returns risk. So we're going to look real quick here at a couple different candidates, Bill and Jill. And we're thinking here more of retirement. So once you get into retirement and you begin to draw down on the funds on the portfolio that you have saved throughout your life, one of the biggest risks is the sequence of returns. And what the sequence of returns is basically is, what is the risk of the performance of your portfolio in the early years of retirement? So in the example for Jill, if you look here, her first, call it 7 years there, are all positive returns. So she has this lump sum of money in this portfolio. She's withdrawing from the portfolio to provide income in retirement. And during that time, during those 7 years, the performance of her portfolio is actually positive. So she is taking withdrawals, but the portfolio is making money because the returns are positive. So that's the ideal position. What's a little different though is the risk that you take, in the sense that those initial returns are not positive. So if you look at Bill for his first 4 years, when he retires, the performance of his portfolio, whether it be S&P performance, stock performance, Dow performance, whatever it may be, is negative. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Bill's portfolio. Why? Because one, Bill's taking withdrawals from the portfolio, which is drawing down the overall ability of the portfolio to make more money. So the withdrawals are putting pressure on it, as well as the returns. So we're looking here at, those could be a 4% loss in the performance of the portfolio, an 8%, 9%, and a 12%. So if you're taking those kinds of losses early on, it's going to be very difficult for that portfolio to maintain the withdrawal rate during Bill's life. So in this example that we're using, we're actually using the same returns. We're just putting them in a different sequence. So what are those returns during the early years? That's really what we're talking about here. So if you see here, Bill has the negative returns early on, which causes his portfolio to pedal out at age 85. Well, if we compare that to Jill, who had the positive returns early on, she's good to go. Bill's in the blue, Jill's in the orange. That's what we're talking about here, is that risk that you take when you begin retirement, the risk of the returns of your portfolio in the early on years. So what an IUL can do with the cash value is it could allow you to have an alternate source of supplemental retirement funds. So a IUL, if properly funded, when retirement comes around, would have a cash value in there, and you can access that cash value tax-free and use that as an alternative source of funds as opposed to withdrawing money from your portfolio. So again, we talked about Bill retiring, and during those first 4 years of market downturn and market negative returns, if he were to have an IUL policy available that he could access, that's going to allow him to significantly increase the possibility of his portfolio lasting longer than the 85 age that we saw earlier. So IULs do a great job of helping support and offset the risk of the sequence of returns in retirement. In addition to that, also, remember, we still have the death benefit as well, so that's a nice to have as well. Also, another reason number 7 here is protection from creditors. So bankruptcy and lawsuit could affect your retirement. An IUL can potentially be protected. So depending on what state you're in, an IUL can potentially be protected from creditors and bankruptcy proceedings. If you look here on the screen, we have an example of the state of Idaho, and the life insurance policy is actually exempt and protected from creditors and bankruptcy protection, except for the value attributed to premiums paid in the 6 months prior to bankruptcy. So there is an exemption within the state of Idaho. Each state is different. Insuranceandestates.com is the website that we have here to give you individual state requirements and regulations. But essentially in the state of Idaho, what it's saying is your life insurance policy that you have is not subject to creditors. It is not subject to bankruptcy. So that will remain in place for whatever planning that you may had for the policy, with, again, the exemption of premiums paid within the immediate 6 months of the filing. So, and that makes sense, right? We understand that. The last reason we have here for permanent life insurance is tax optimization. And this is kind of tied a little bit to the sequence of returns. We're essentially using the cash value in a permanent life insurance policy to help put us in a tax advantage situation. So having a non-taxed income can help you manage your effective tax rate or footprint. So if we take a look here at the examples on the screen, the taxed income on the top section here is going to be completely taxed. Let's say you're taking $200,000 from that portfolio that we talked about with Bill and Jill. You know, if your withdrawal is 200,000, none of that would be tax-free. It's all qualified funds, so you're going to pay the income tax when that comes out. With a married status in our example here, at a 20.52 effective tax rate, $41,000 is going to go towards taxes. So of the 200,000 that you take out in retirement, you're going to pay 41,000 of that into taxes. Now, if you look at the bottom example, in the second row, we're still going to have that combined $200,000 of income, but if we just take $20,000 of that from a tax-free income source, such as the cash value in an IUL policy, that's actually going to drop our effective rate to 18.72%. Again, now we're only paying taxes based on the 180,000 taxed income. We're not including the 20,000 of tax-free income. So simply reallocating the 10% that we withdraw from a tax-free income source results in 11% reduction in federal income taxes paid. We're saving same income, but we're keeping almost $4,700 more in our pocket. So that's one of the great advantages of an IUL, as well as being able to access the tax-free income. And this is just an example that shows that. So those are the eight reasons that we have to share with everybody. So those are my prepared comments there. The purpose of this, or the objective of really what we're trying to accomplish, is to get everybody just thinking kind of outside the box. If one or two of these reasons were new to you, then hopefully it can expand your line of thinking to help you uncover more opportunities for your clients to sell life insurance to them, and to help protect your clients. But again, those are the prepared remarks that we have. Hopefully that helped a little bit. Brad, I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Hey, thanks, Bobby. Great job on that. Appreciate you covering the 8 reasons why everybody needs whole life insurance. And obviously, we talked about different types of life insurance along the way that are fit, and how they can help your clients meet their goals that they have, their financial and goals that they have, and how you're able to help them and add revenue to your sales as well by offering them these products. So I do have one question, Bobby, and if to the rest of the attendees, if you have a question, go ahead and put them in the question section now. But there is one question in there around cash value. So once the cash value is withdrawn as a loan, does the beneficiary have to pay it back?
No, they do not. So essentially, it'll be netted out of the death benefit. So for example, if you have a $200,000 death benefit, and maybe you have a $20,000 loan, then at passing, $180,000 would pass on.
Yep, perfect. All right. And then we did record the webinar today, so we'll be sharing that with everybody that registered for the webinar, and make sure that we get that out to you. And again, we'll be sharing them on the Life and Annuity Resource Center at the conclusion of next week's webinar. So speaking of next week, the subject matter for that one is, what life insurance do I write? So we're going to talk through what product fits where, and how that can help your clients meet their goals and objectives as well. So I don't see any other questions for today, Bobby. So I wanted to thank you for joining us, and thank all the attendees for taking time out of their day to join this webinar and this training session. And the team at Premier, so that'd be Kathy and Kelly on the life side, and Shad and Shay on the annuity side, always willing to take your call and walk you through Life and Annuity Resource Center, the benefits and features of that, as well as any product design cases that you have also. So thanks everybody for joining us, and have a great day.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everyone.